Hello, everyone. My name is Jenny Birak. Thank you so much for being here. I first would like to say welcome to all of you who are new, and thank you so much for subscribing. I want to just address a lot of you have reached out to me in the past week or so and let me know that you have lost a loved one or a close friend, sometimes multiple people. I want all of you to know that I am thinking of you, that I'm sending you love, I'm sending you strength, and I just want everyone to recognize that even if I'm not sending an email or, commenting again on Facebook, that you do come to my mind, and that I'm always sending you strength and asking for angels to be there with you. Whenever I do send angels, I always can see that there are a lot of ancestors with you, a lot of angels there already. So trust that you're supported, and all of us, I'm sure many of you will join me in sending love and strength to all of those who have lost loved ones during this period. We're going to be in this energy for quite a while as we're building toward the Pluto-Saturn conjunction that comes in January of 2020. There's going to be a lot of shifts. It's a tower energy that we're working with, and this is a very intense period of that whole conjunction. And the month of November especially, we're going to be setting up, or what Metatron is saying, that we're reaching the precipice, like the changing point in what is going to play out for us in 2020. Okay, so these are really intense times. A lot of souls will choose to come in again, leave the planet and come in again. And because these energies speak to a time of great change. Saturn is what we count on, okay, and institutions, and something that's solid, that we just sort of take for granted that's there. And when they meet up, Pluto is about change and transformation and renewing the old guard, so to speak. So that we see playing out in governments. And I want to also make the point that when the South Node because Saturn in Capricorn is about honesty and integrity and leadership that, rules from a place of values. When Pluto is with the South Node and Saturn is with the South Node, that's a dictator. That's someone who abuses their power. So we see that playing out all over the world. I was going to make a list of the countries, but I've posted some of it on Facebook. There are multiple countries right now where there are uprisings against the government or policies, but we're all contending with just an angry energy. Okay, there is an angry energy out there. This is a time when, as the light, we are focusing on peace and allowing others to have their opinion, maybe not, always sharing ours when it's different, because really no one's going to be in the mood to change their mind anytime soon, okay? Or, if you see a post, like, because of all of you who have lost loved ones and friends, Metatron had asked me to make a post just to say it was a meme, and I put it on Facebook. And someone made an angry face and said that it was overdone. Okay. I don't do things for hype, or, I always am very plainly just saying it as it is. And I don't post things like that unless Metatron wants me to let people know that he's thinking about them, that he's there with them, that, they're not forgotten. So if you were one of the people fortunate enough to be not having anything lost right now, that's great. But there are a lot of people who are, and it isn't an exaggeration to offer them comfort. I think that this is a good time for everyone to remember, if you don't have something nice to say, maybe just don't share at all, because you don't know what the person on the other side is contending with, And I'm going to just Well, let's talk about, first of all, that. We're going to just open with what we're contending with right now. So I'm making this video on the 22nd of October. And we're building all week up until the 26th. We're building to when Mars squares Saturn. And that's, Mars and Saturn are like old foes kind of thing. Mars is the fire that wants to go, that wants to point the arrow and nobody get in my way. It's about pioneering energy. The first one to venture into the new frontier, doesn't want to be held back, held down at all. He's in a sign that he does not like to be in, and he's coming into a square with Saturn, who decides if you're going to move forward or if there's more work to do on, you know, whatever project, whatever ambition it is that you have. Saturn wants to make sure that all of the ducks are in a row. Now, Saturn and Mars work very well together when we choose to use them that way. You know, like building a foundation, a lasting foundation, using the Mars energy of ambition and looking to see like the future, like what's going to make this last the longest, and where do I start? Where can I point my arrow that's going to help me to build something of longevity, is what Metatron is saying. It's about, I mean, a lot of times it's permanence, we say, but I mean, we all know obviously nothing is permanent, but it's a long time. Like it's sustainable. It's something that's sustainable, that's going to last. It's going to leave a legacy. So if you have situations come up during this week where you get a no, chances are that that opportunity may come back to you, or there may be some tweaking to do. But always when there's a no, it's because there's something more fortunate in the future, an opportunity that's coming in the future that will be more fortunate. Now, everybody else that doesn't pay attention to these things doesn't understand why they're feeling frustrated, but it is an energy of frustration. So if you feel that, you know, as we move through this week coming up and we're, you know, getting up to this new moon in Scorpio, deep breathing, allowing yourself, Metatron is saying to allow your mind to be at ease and to recognize that what is coming in the future is more fortunate than maybe what is being denied right now. You know, like that would not serve you. I've seen all the time, like when for an example, like when I'm coming together with my twin flame, and then it doesn't happen, like we miss the window goes by, they always show me why. Okay, and it's always because it would not have worked out in a good way. It maybe wouldn't have lasted, is what usually it is. So just trust, if things do go away or things don't come that you're expecting, that there's a reason behind that. And this is really a time he was talking about where, especially with Mercury and Scorpio, listening to your intuition, listening to your soul. Now, Mercury is going to continue through Scorpio and have his retrograde. He's going to be there all month. So this is a great opportunity to let what's in the subconscious come to you and listen to your soul, listen to your own voice, okay? Because your soul is always guiding you. That's always true. Maybe we aren't tuned in, but this is an opportunity while Mercury is spending time in Scorpio to really tune in to your soul. And it's always working with the planets and your timing. Before you incarnated, you knew what your chart would be. You knew the transits that would go on. You knew what you would be facing when. So it's all in divine timing, these things. You know, when these tower things come up, there's a reason why. Even if it seems like it's a terrible thing that we have to go through, and I'm not saying that it's so easy, but always on the other side, there's a reason why things fall away, why things unfold the way that they do, even if it seems unfair and unjust at the time, is what he's saying. Okay, so, and what I was going to talk about was projecting. and I want to use the word projectiles, okay? Because with all of this Libra Scorpio energy that we have going on, Libra is ruled by Venus, and Venus, so the sun has been in Libra up until this point. So the sun was answering to Venus, okay, while he's in her sign. Venus has been in Scorpio since October 4th. So we've already had a lot of scorpionic energy in the air, in case you haven't noticed anyway. But with Mercury and Venus all doing what they're doing, and then the sun and Mars in Libra, there's a lot of projecting, okay, where someone, and this was pointed out to me more than one time, you know, if someone says something to you or you read a certain thing of someone, especially when you're reading someone's energy, most likely that's you that you're actually reading, because what you see in another person is a reflection of yourself. So when you are sending like a judgment, and this is for celebrities as well, this isn't just, you know, for people who aren't in the public eye, they count too. When you're sending like a judgment out, that, think of it as a spear, okay? Or he wanted me to talk about gossip and explain how damaging that is to your energy. If you gossip about someone to a person, okay, you put all of that judgment and icky energy into your own energy in telling the story. And then when that person goes and tells the next person, that accumulation is coming back to you. Gossip is the worst thing, pretty much. I mean, other than just completely self-sabotaging yourself with your own our own negative thoughts. When you gossip about someone, you're not just tearing down the individual. It's every individual that is going to hear that story, and that's all in your space, okay? So he was pointing out to me there was a post that was done by an astrologer, and I like her. I don't want to, you know, single anybody out, because almost the last time I looked, like almost over 200 people had liked this post. And so just for clarification, if you are like telling yourself negative things, or let's say a politician is constantly annoying you, or you're constantly feeling anger toward that person, that's going to draw that back to you. Because the post was something like, you know, it's nonsense. It was a meme, but it was like, it's nonsense that if you think the good thoughts, or if you're positive, that you're going to draw that back to yourself, because I keep getting like horrible things drawn back to me. But that's because, you know, like, I mean, I know the person's posts, and I know that 90% of them are attacking somebody else, in a politician. And so I'm just saying, if we're putting that out, if our focus is always on criticizing others, or seeing like the negativity in every situation, then that is what we're calling in. It's a magnet. Your energy is a magnet, and your thoughts are energy. And if you're, you know, in that place where you're telling yourself that everything is like, woe is me, or, you know, lashing out at other people, that's coming back to you. That's how that's being drawn in. It isn't just a new age saying that, you know, like attracts like attracts like. So I just wanted to make that point too. He wanted me to bring that up. So as we move through this intense energy, we are getting ready for the new moon in Scorpio. So the new moon in Scorpio is coming at 10:38 p.m. Chicago time on the 27th. It will be at 2:38 p.m. in Sydney on the 28th, and 3:38 a.m. in London, okay, on the 28th. So you can just adjust for your time zone. So we have an 11, because we always look at the minutes with the new moon. And so 11 is the master number. It speaks to balance. And we have a lot of things coming up relating to balance now during this, like, even though we're moving into Scorpio season, the Libra story is not finished. We're not quite finished with that. But so the 11 is considered the master number, 1111 awakening code. I know a lot of you will have stories about how 1111 started coming to you. As we begin awakening, that tends to show up to speaking to our subconscious about things that are going on that we are not conscious of yet. So at this new moon, Saturn, Mercury, Pluto, and the nodes of fate are at the same degree by declination. Okay, meaning the way that they're peering down to Earth, they're at the same degree. It's the Saturn, okay, so that's the legacy, the builder, the one who sets up something of permanence. Mercury, who is communication, and Mercury is known as the trickster. Mercury rules the mind because Mercury, the story of the twins and Gemini is, one is mortal and one is immortal. It's the voices that you hear, your ego self and the true higher self, okay? A lot of times people there can be confusion over exactly which energy they're hearing. That's why I encourage people to always access the angels and everyone through the creator's frequency of pure love, because the trickster, Mercury, our mind, plays tricks on us, okay? So when Saturn and Mercury and Pluto are all at the same degree with the nodes of fate, our thoughts are very important, okay? He's saying that they're projectiles in the way that what we're thinking is going to manifest something. So really keeping our thoughts in order and choosing to hear the voice of our better angels, okay, is how he put it. Choosing to hear the positive, choosing to tell yourself a good story. Like, oh, I can't wait till all this nonsense is over and we live on a peaceful planet. That's a better answer than allowing it to agitate you and irritate you, because we need to be really careful of our energy right now. And putting everything into practice that we've learned, okay, to sustain ourselves, our own vibration, all of the things that you picked up at workshops or that you've read, any of those little tricks that you use to keep your energy in line, centering yourself in your heart, and he's reminding me to say that I love myself and I recognize myself in everyone. And he's saying he means everyone, even those in leadership, okay? So a lot of that, comes from all of these people in power who are just doing this and that willy-nilly. That all comes from a place of insecurity, and why the person feels powerless, we don't know. But it's easy to have compassion for them if you just look from that vantage point. If you take the higher view, as Metatron is saying, as the higher self does. And the higher self is always calm and centered and trusting, and recognizes that things play out the way that they do for a reason that is beyond our human comprehension and understanding, but that it all is working together in the grand scheme of things, he's saying, for our best outcome, okay, for each of us, individually and then collectively as well. Okay, so I want to point out that at the new moon in Scorpio, and it's happening at 4 degrees and change of Scorpio, and opposing it is Uranus. Uranus is at the same degree in Taurus. So, and when Uranus is involved, if you look up by the number 8, that's Uranus. So Uranus is the one who comes in. He's compared to lightning a lot, but I've always, since I was very, very young child and had no idea what I was seeing, I've seen him as a tornado. Okay, he rules Aquarius, which is air, and he gets things done. Like, he comes in and changes things up in a way that isn't always calm. It's never calm. It's usually when, like, shocking things, surprising things that change instantaneously because something has happened with Uranus, like a tornado. So you see that opposition there between the sun and moon in Scorpio to Uranus. Uranus in Taurus is answering to Venus. Venus is in Scorpio. Venus, Mercury, the sun, and moon are all answering to Pluto, who is in Capricorn, who is answering to Saturn. So Mars is basically in, what am I saying? Mutual reception. So he's basically in Scorpio kind of thing, because the ruler, the Venus who's ruling him is in Scorpio. So they're having what's called mutual reception. Jupiter is in charge of himself because he's in his own sign, and Neptune is in charge of himself. He's in his own sign. But all of the other guys are answering to Saturn, okay? So that's, you know, the Lord of karma. So these are karmic happenings. These are karmic things going on. But this time, okay, this new moon in Scorpio, what it looks like is that anything that you can come up with that's new, a fresh perspective, a fresh way of looking at something, a different way of doing something, is going to reap great rewards, okay? It looks like, and this energy will play out for about 2.5 years, okay? So and that's done because the new moon opposes, it squares, and it's done in that way, which is about every 10 months. So when you look at all of these planets and you think of something that you would like to settle that's maybe karmic, that's been going on for a long time, this is the opportunity to escape it and to try a new way of doing things. Now, just in general, Uranus in the 8th house points to an abuse of power. This could also, because the 2nd and the 8th house have a lot to do with money. These could be situations of money that I know a lot of you have had this coming up already, but there could be something that happens with money, not necessarily in a bad way. This feels again like that Wheel of Fortune, when we can't quite say what exactly is going to happen, but it's something where like fate steps in, destiny takes a hand, you know, there's a judgment that's made. And so I just wanted to make you aware of that. But this is a great manifesting energy for making more money, for something fortuitous coming to you. And it looks like that when it comes about, like whatever it is that you would like to create, that it may be something that takes a while. Like, you know, you're going to plan for the long term, but like, what steps can I make right now? And he was also talking about the way that Mars, if you see Mars there in the 1st house in Libra, in that quincunx with Neptune, he was saying that can be fear, okay? Where we're looking at the lower side of like, well, that's not going to work because, and I get it, you guys. Hey, I've been there many times these past couple of months. But you know, we know how to snap ourselves right out of it too. Once we recognize like that's what we're doing, then we want to turn it around and then, you know, ask them to clear out all of the energy that you may have put toward whatever project you're wanting to start a new venture in. But you know, if we aren't creating something, then a piece of us, that spark, that fire within us dwindles down and it extinguishes. So we always want to be, even if it's knitting, creating something that you love, okay? Because Uranus in Taurus is about our values, something that means something to us, something that makes us feel like we have purpose, something that we enjoy. So it is a great energy for, you know, maybe a slow build, but to something that's lasting, to something that isn't just going to fade away. And it's in the 3rd house, which is this is another reason why I'm mentioning the 3rd house. We have Jupiter on top of Ceres, and Ceres, it relates to like nurturing and nourishment and plenitude, because a lot of people believe that Ceres governs Virgo. She definitely has a lot to do with Virgo, and that is reaping the harvest. She looks like a sickle. And the 3rd house is the house of revenue. So Mercury is there, and he is with Pallas Athena. And Pallas Athena gives us the energy. She's the goddess of wisdom and the fierce divine feminine leader. But she also is a very strategic planner. She knows how to get things done, how to get from point A to Z. Okay, so we may not have like the entire picture mapped out, but being focused on where we want to go. And because your thoughts right now, with all of those planets parallel, your thoughts matter right now. what you're thinking about, you're creating, even if it's just in your heart and, you know, and making you, or in your mind. You know, that's important. That seed of hope is important. So really fostering hope and allowing yourself to dream the impossible dream. He's saying to have a big vision for your life. He's talking about like like having a menu and ordering, like what you would like to have happen in your life. You deserve that. Just even saying those things to yourself, like I deserve whatever you would like to say. I deserve peace. I deserve serenity. I deserve abundance. I deserve friends who are on the same wavelength. I deserve a companion. You know, encouraging yourself and then telling yourself the creator is going to be very happy to bring me XYZ. That's another way to keep that energy up for manifesting. So Scorpio 5, because we look at the next degree, it's at 4 and change. And then, so this will affect planets, you could say like 29 degrees to 9 degrees of any sign, okay? If you have a planet there, it's going to be feeding into that energy. So it is a sculptor creating large, fragile works of art out of paper. And it's about manifesting and being inspired. And, okay, it lists the angel, but I don't know that angel, so I'm not going to read that. This degree is intent on expressing its creativity without any concern for how it will be received or interpreted. It goes its own way and plays with energies in an uninhibited fashion that is free of tradition, constraints, and formal rules. That's Uranus, by the way. The message is communication. Wait, the message, it communicates, is that all passes and that time and change are not to be feared, but rather savored in the moment. Okay, so again, shifts and changes. And anytime Uranus is involved, that's true. But this is for the degree that the sun and moon are on, where we're going to plant that seed. That's why I'm saying like something different, something innovative, something that you haven't done before. Even planning a trip to somewhere that you know, put that on the list. Somewhere you haven't been before would be a good idea right now. And, okay, so once we get through that energy, then because that energy will go up until the 1st of November. So Mercury comes to station on October 31st, but universal time, it's November 1st that Mercury actually begins to move retrograde. So when we say that a planet is retrograde, what's happening is that the planet is passing between the Earth and the sun. And so it appears just like if you're driving next to a train, it starts looking like the train is going backwards, or you look like you're going backwards. It looks like it's moving backwards. It isn't actually moving backward. But if you would like to see that, that is going to come up on the 11th, the 1111 gateway. You can actually see in Europe, Africa, and the Americas, you'll be able to actually see the planet Mercury. You can Google how to do that. AccuWeather has a way. If you look at AccuWeather, they'll let you know like what time and from where you'll be able to see that. So I just wanted to mention that. So as Mercury begins to move backward, Venus will move into Sagittarius. That's a nice energy, okay? Because Venus in fire, Venus in Sagittarius. Sagittarius is about the higher vision. It likes excitement and adventure. It rules like the great outdoors, the great expanse. Sagittarius like to have a good time. They're very social. So Venus in Sagittarius is a very nice gift, I feel like, for us during this Mercury retrograde. And Mercury is going to get to 27 degrees of Scorpio, and then he'll begin moving back about 3:30 in the morning on November 1st. And this will be our third Mercury retrograde in a water sign this year. Because of what's happening with Neptune, it's possible that things could come up for you that were an issue during February, March, when Mercury was retrograde in Pisces earlier this year. But this, again, what Metatron wanted me to keep pointing out is that Mercury retrograde in Scorpio is a great time to get in touch with your, he's saying, inner child, with your intuition, with what your wants and needs are, okay? And a way that you express them. And I know why he's saying that. So I knew this was going to come up, this video, but he didn't say when. A lot of people have been talking to me about, asking me questions about marijuana and alcohol and what do I think of this and that. And I hear other people address this, but there are people who are still, I can hear the religious, the sin in the language, okay? We aren't living up to any standard, any like higher up standard, okay? You choose to do what you would like to do with your life. Now, having said that, you also, when you consume those energies or medication, anything you consume, you're consuming the energy that goes along with them. So when you're using marijuana, and I don't find the difference. I mean, except that, if it's alcohol that's used in excess, then people can get violent. People could gain a lot of weight using marijuana, but I don't distinguish, okay? Because anything that alters our mind, it's the same. Anything that has that effect of being high, same thing to me. But it is different, and he's pointing this out, so I'm going to mention that if you are getting marijuana from, he's saying, a private dealer, really be careful to bless that, because that's probably, there's blood on that. I mean, even there's a documentary on Netflix about the marijuana that's been being grown since the 60s in Northern California, and they die all the time from the same thing, okay, drug money. So, you want to always bless whatever it is that you're consuming, whatever it is, mind-altering or not. You could ask that you're in sacred ceremony, and you could say, I would say, in the creator's version of what it means to be in harmonious, Metatron is saying, harmonious sacred ceremony. And then if it is something that you are struggling with, okay, like it's some kind of addiction, the reason that, there are people caught up in the addiction cycle, or, another part of that is people that are just angry all the time, or people who are depressed. That's because there is a piece of them that is broken, that did not have a need met, the need for connection. At some point, the person that was being counted on to nurture and to foster the love of self, he's saying, an authority figure most likely, broke that part of the person, okay? So the way to help overcome addiction or addictive tendencies, is what he's saying, is to allow yourself to connect in to the earth through the root chakra. Because when we've been rejected or abandoned in some way, that part of us, that root chakra part of us, closes off and doesn't have the feelings of security and being nurtured, because the needs weren't met. And it tells us in our little child psyche, our little child mind learns like, oh, my needs are not important, I'm irrelevant. And when we're in that state of euphoria, which is a temporary fix, when we're drunk or when we're high, we feel connected in to source then. I don't know how many times, I even saw someone post something on Facebook about starting a spiritual group for people that post like while they're smoking marijuana. And that's all fine if you're really careful that you are in sacred ceremony. A lot of us have marriages to these energies. And once you're finished using it, you need to divorce that energy. I'm not going to say that, sorry. It would be a good idea if you could divorce that energy, because that energy will stay in your space and it will affect you. Okay. And especially if you're clairaudience at all, you'll hear that energy, and it can mimic. Okay. And it can sound like the real deal. When something comes in and it's like, watch that. Okay. You have to be very sure that you're in a sacred space if you choose to do that. Now, having said that, there's no judgment from Metatron or the angels or the creator. Their focus is what's best for you and how does this serve you, is what he's saying. Like a temporary fix when, they're actually depressants. So in the long run, it doesn't serve us at all to have that. I understand that, it's nice to have a break now and then and feel happy. And if you've, if that's where you are, love yourself where you are. Have love for yourself wherever you are. Just recognizing that, there's something broken that feels disconnected, that is not satisfied, that there's an emotional need that hasn't been met, and really paying attention to meeting those emotional needs instead of going for whatever's the quickest way to feel good. And I get that, that if that's what you need to do, that's what you need to do right now. Nobody's judging you. Nobody's judging you. Nobody cares. Metatron, I've said before, like when I had gone back to smoking, and Metatron would say, like, if you're going to do it, just do it. Don't feel guilty every time that you light a cigarette, but no one's up there counting how many cigarettes, or that's all that religious DNA story. Okay. And a lot of people that think that they've moved past that are actually still in it. You're not supposed to live up to a certain standard. What I do is I align my free will with the will of the creator of all that is, and I ask to be guided and shown. But Metatron always points out to me that he's saying guidance is merely suggestions. That's what he said, merely suggestions. You're not made to follow if you choose not to. Okay. So anyway, I wanted to address that because with Mercury now going through Scorpio, that's going to come up. Pluto also relates to addiction because it's something that we've given our power to, something outside of ourselves that we've given our power to. And it also is because of the emotional component that's involved. And there can be a really deep attachment, or you may need to energetically divorce those things if you've been using them for a long time. I've talked to people who have been off of a certain drug. I don't even remember what it was, but off of something for years, and that energy was still in their space. Because it feeds off of your energy, okay? And I'm just going to mention that because if I do use those substances, I go up and, I go into the creator's energy and I speak to them, that if you like shatter, I would not, that I'm going to say no, because I've seen shatter. So, yeah. And everybody who's wondering what shatter is, if you don't know, don't worry about it. But for those of you who do, I just want to mention that because that did not look good. It didn't look like evil or menacing. It just really did not look good at all. It looked like the word shatter. I would make the face that I usually make when I tell people, but not on camera. So yeah, I wanted to address that because this is a time that this will be coming up. And what Metatron is pointing out that, with the sun and moon making that aspect with Uranus in the 8th house, that this is a time, he's saying that this would be a time of your unleashing. Unleash yourself from that. But really, in order to anytime we're going to lose a bad habit, it's really replacing it with the new habits. That's what makes us let go of those things, is when we foster a new habit that feeds our energy, that's positive in the long run and makes us feel better about ourselves. That's when we just let that stuff go to the wayside. So yeah, I did want to mention that because I have had that question quite a bit. So we were at November 1st, when Mercury starts to move retrograde. On November 5th, we will have Mars square Pluto. So after he's finished squaring Saturn, then he's going to move up on the 26th, then he's going to move into a square with Pluto. That is an energy of war. there's not really a pretty way to dress that up. It can be a self-transformation, but this is a contentious energy. Okay, so any like serious conversations that you need to have with anybody, maybe try to wait until after the 5th of November. I'd wait till the 7th, but you know, it's up to you. And then on the 8th and 9th, the sun is going to speak with Neptune as Saturn also then speaks with Neptune. This is a good, he's calling it a bridge building energy, like it's an energy of peace. It's an energy of permanence, and it's also an energy of inspiration. It's kind of like a dream come true kind of energy. So, you know, make note of that on the 8th, 9th. Neptune is still in retrograde. So we want to look at it as a dream come true and not allow ourselves to go to the hopeless, you know, sorrow-filled energy of Neptune. And then on the 10th, Mercury will come into a sextile with Pluto just before Mercury meets the sun on the 11th. So most likely now when Mercury has that conversation with Pluto and Scorpio rule deep hidden secrets, things that go on behind closed doors. It could be anything of a sexual nature. Mercury is going to then share that with the sun on the 11th. So really pay attention to what news comes your way on the 11th. It's also where they're meeting, where the sun and Mercury are meeting is at 19 of Scorpio. And that's a fixed star. Let's see if I remember how to say it. Sorry, guys, I have so many papers over here. Okay. So it's called... I need my glasses for this. I dropped them. Let's see. Zubin-Eshamali. Yes. Zubin-Eshamali is the fixed star. And it has the nature of Jupiter and Mercury, so that's good. And it's symbolically called the full price. It gives good fortune, high ambition, beneficence, honor, riches, and permanent happiness. Okay, so say the ancients. It gives a sharp mind and intellect with a very powerful psychic quality. It arouses the spiritual and mental forces. Okay, so this is the 1111 gateway when that happens, and this fixed star is going to come up again later in the month. It's a fantastic fixed star, and so that 1111 gateway looks incredibly fortunate. Very excited about that 1111 gateway. And then on the 12th, we will have the full moon in Taurus, and I will make a separate video for the full moon in Taurus. The full moon in Taurus, hang on guys, sorry, is the moon is going to be in Taurus, but the sun facing the moon is going to be on that fixed star at that 1111 gateway. So it's really good. That's really positive. That we're, you know, enjoying such it sounds beautiful. And remember that full moons bring illuminations, and this star is tied to psychic powers and intuition. So it's great. So most likely you'll have something illuminated for you, or, you know, some kind of sign. You can always ask for that too. And then right after that happens, the moon and Chiron, and then Mercury, Venus, Saturn, Pluto, and Neptune, like through the 15th. So from the time of the full moon through the 15th, it looks like the emotions could be running very high at that time, okay? I'm not going to go into what each of those aspects means, because this video will take a very long time if I keep doing that. But I'm just letting you know that it does look like there could be emotional release happening because of what goes on then the next day. So, and then the 18th, Mercury will finish his retrograde and he'll begin moving forward again. He clears his shadow on the 28th, just as Neptune begins to move forward. So clarity's coming, people. So maybe a lot of things that you've been wondering about, you'll find out that will be at the very end of the month. On the 19th, Mars enters Scorpio. We've been in a lot of that energy already. And at the same time, Venus is going to square, so that's a contentious energy, Black Moon Lilith. I'm telling you that this is a day when, if you can bite your tongue, especially women are going to be looking for a fight, okay? I mean, not all women. I'm just saying that it's a contentious energy, okay? When Venus is squaring Lilith and Mars is entering Scorpio, if there's a conversation you were going to have with a woman, maybe not that day. And then on the 22nd, the sun will enter Sagittarius. On the 24th, Venus and Jupiter will meet up at the gate of the gods, okay? That's the very end of Sagittarius, like 26 to 28 degrees, 27, 29. That's where there is they haven't photographed that one, but they know that there's a radio signal that's coming from that black hole. And a lot of people think that that's where our sun is getting the downloads from the central sun. So that's a fantastic energy. And on the same day, Mars is going to oppose Uranus. So that's a good day to really, like, if you're in a happy relationship, that should just exacerbate whatever is going on in your relationship. It's not going to be easy to deny, okay, with that kind of energy happening at the end of the month. And, Metatron was asking me to point out that for everyone who is in an unhappy or a loveless marriage, and you're not like living your best life, you're not as happy as you could be, a lot of times people are staying for the children. Those children are your soulmates, and they can tell, especially if they're born after like 1995 or so. They know that you're unhappy. And so we want to be careful with the example that we're setting, especially as women. Do we want to show our daughters, like, this is how a good mother acts? You just stay miserable and you don't put yourself first. You do what's best for everyone else. Who's to say that that's what's best? So I'm just, because of that energy that day, if I was looking at that between two people, I'd be like, oh, it looks like you're getting divorced. But I mean, maybe not divorced, but yeah, it does look like whatever is happening in the relationship, it's going to be really noticeable. Okay. On the 26th, we have a new moon in Sagittarius. That new moon looks fantastic as well. And on the 28th, Mercury will trine Neptune as Venus comes into a trine with Uranus. So that's on the 28th, the very end of the month. That could very well, for surely it's going to be something of secrets. It could be related to money, or it could be that something goes on with money there. But, Metatron asked me to talk about the energy that we're all contending with now, and to mention that it's stormy. Okay, we've got a lot of super intense and dark stuff going on in the sky astrologically, but it's really, it's going to affect you however you choose. You decide how it's going to affect you. Like for me, an agreement that I've been a part of for very many years is coming to an end. Maybe not in the way that I would have chosen, but Pluto and Saturn South Node is like an opportunity to let things that no longer work for us, or things that we've counted on that maybe we're actually losing power because we're, putting ourselves through, like going to that job where you get treated like garbage, or, there's so many different ways to talk about like how that could be affecting you. But looking at the silver lining and staying focused on, yes, things are going to fall away right now. Things are going to change, but they're going to benefit me in the long run. I trust that it's going to benefit me in the long run, and that it'll be worth it. He's saying that it will be worth it. So he wanted me to read. We talk about Metatron as the bridge, right? Metatron is the bridge that, oh, and I don't have that. I like to use the picture of the Vesica Pisces. But Metatron, and I mean, you know, when I knew Metatron as the Holy Spirit, I thought of him as a network. And he is like the link, okay? In the class I'm going to teach is going to be called Metatron, the Expression of God. And I'm not sure if I'll do a video with that. But Metatron is the bridge. Metatron is like the mouthpiece of the Creator, and he connects like all of our higher selves are sort of like together in that link, okay? And, you know, he sets things in motion, and he's the grand architect. There's a lot of ways that you can describe him, but the bridge, like between the Creator and us, Metatron is the rainbow. And so all of the angels, all of the angelics, all of the different rays, they come to us through the Metatron energy, okay? He's sort of like the whole gift of it rolled into one. That's why some people tried to, like years ago, described him as being very big, okay? And he is. But he's really just like, you can't really conceive of exactly how big. So, but he's the bridge. In the Bible, he was called the Comforter. The Comforter came, okay, as Jesus ascended, and he came in as a flame. He goes by orange. A lot of people see him as purple. Some people see Michael as purple. There's not really you can't really peg it like we like to do with the human mind. But he is the bridge, and so he wanted me to read this to you, and he asked if it's possible for you to be in a quiet space where you will be undisturbed, is what he's saying. And you may want to do this through the month, depending on what's happening exactly for you. We're going to just close our eyes. And if you're comfortable, we'll just invite Metatron to come, or the Holy Spirit, if you prefer, to come into your space. And this is Bridge Over Troubled Water. When you're weary, feeling small, when tears are in your eyes, I'll dry them all. I'm on your side when times get rough and friends just can't be found. Like a bridge over troubled water, I will lay me down. When you're down and out, when you're on the street, when evening falls so hard, I will comfort you. I'll take your part when darkness comes and pain is all around. Like a bridge over troubled water, I will lay me down. Sail on, silver girl, sail on by. Your time has come to shine. All your dreams are on their way. See how they shine. Oh, if you need a friend, I'm sailing right behind. Like a bridge over troubled water, I will ease your mind. It's nice. And then he also wanted me to read, Mystic Medusa actually posted this, but he would like me to read this is from Alice Walker, Living by the Word. Some periods of our growth are so confusing that we don't even recognize that growth is happening. We may feel hostile or angry or weepy and hysterical, or we may feel depressed. It would never occur to us unless we stumbled on a book or a person who explained it to us that we were, in fact, in the process of change, of actually becoming larger spiritually than we were before. Whenever we grow, we tend to feel it, as a young seed must feel the weight and inertia of the earth as it seeks to break out of its shell on its way to becoming a plant. Often the feeling is anything but pleasant. But what is most unpleasant is the not knowing what is happening. Those long periods when something inside ourselves seems to be waiting, holding its breath, unsure about what the next step should be, eventually become the periods we wait for. For it is in those periods that we realize we are being prepared for the next phase of our life, and that in all probability, a new level of the personality is about to be revealed. Okay? So really allow yourself, give yourself some time this month to cope, he's saying, with the intensity of the energies. Taking time for deep breathing, listening to what your soul has to say to you, or what's coming up from the subconscious, or anything that you can do outdoors. That was another thing that he wanted me to talk about, was the healing energy of trees. And if you can, even when you have physical pain, if you can go up to a tree and put your back against the tree and allow the pain, he's saying, allow the tree to take your suffering from you and to put it down into the earth and out of your energy so that you're safe from that. Really asking for protection as we move through this season as well. And being very careful driving. I keep talking about that in posts I've made. Being careful with driving. And is there anything else? He's saying the best is yet to come. Okay? So, all right, everybody, take care. I hope this video finds you well. And I'm thinking of all of you and sending you so much love. And thanks for being here. Bye-bye.